And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with murry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.
200 times stronger than steel, 1,000,000 smaller than a strand of hair, harder than a diamond, and with greater electrical conduction capacity surpassing gold or copper. Graphene is considered the material of the future.
There were some materials that caused magnetism within human biology, but graphene stood out. It was in fashion and funded through the Graphene Flagship, a European initiative, 1 billion euros for the study of graphene and 1 billion euros for the study of the human brain. The Human Brain Project. They go hand in hand. We'll see why. Therefore, when we had the opportunity to analyze it, we got in touch with public and private universities, and there, Dr. Pablo Campra Madrid, with his freedom and right to lecture without the need for approval from any university, in this case the University of Almería, and university professor in chemical sciences and graduate in biological sciences, analyzed the sample. Initially, he asked what hypothesis we had, what we suspected was in them. Genetic material? Perhaps, but look for graphene. Dr. Campra was initially surprised and asked why on earth there would be graphene in there. What does it have to do with it? Look for graphene. And a week later, I remember that call where we were congratulated. What no one would have thought was there, with a high probability and serious evidence of graphene oxide in the sample, and that was published in the preliminary report. It was examined from the point of view of optical microscopy, electron microscopy, and an ultraviolet absorbance compatibility test. Everything pointed to the fact that there was indeed graphene present. But 4 months later was when we actually gained access to 7 vials from 4 different brands, AstraZeneca, Moderna, Johnson and Pfizer, the most commercial brands in our country. And he said that if we wanted to structurally and chemically characterize the material, the Raman vibration of any material or particle was going to tell us with 100% certainty whether it was graphene or not. A study was done of 110 graphene-like objects, of which 28 were unequivocally graphene and 8 reduced graphene oxide. From then onwards, we started to check the toxicity of the material, and we realized what we're going to see now. Just to give you some background information. So the first thing we're going to do is introduce today's live stream with what the graphene oxide pattern is. We're going to watch a short video. Graphene is a wonderful material, as they say, for everything but not to put it inside the human body because it's not biocompatible. And it clearly causes damage. It is toxic. Furthermore, its toxicity depends on the source of radiation because it has the capacity to be radiomodulable. The first thing we have to do, since today's highlight is the microscope, is to know what the patterns of graphene are, i.e. what it looks like. So initially, apart from doing the micro-Raman test, we also visited the Graphene Box website, which is a virtual online shop, and we obtained a reduced graphene oxide pattern. It's quite expensive too. A single milligram costs 300 euros. But with a single gram, just to give you an idea, we could cover an entire football pitch. It's a material with a great capacity. With just a small amount, it can be stretched. It's malleable, transparent. It has many properties. In addition, it's a superconducting material, which in biology is not at all good because it has an affinity for the heart and neurons, which is precisely their objective, reduced graphene oxide solution, and we found the patterns that we are going to see now. Here is a video. Well, what we're looking at are graphene microsheets. It's one of the first patterns where it appeared. The material has folds, and the edges tend to fold back on themselves. They have a high surface tension, therefore we are going to find it often in the drops at the edge of the cover slip. Via the surface, it goes straight to the bottom. These are graphene microsheets. Seemingly it is harmless, but we'll see that it is not. Apart from the microsheets, I'm going to go a little bit further. They're also going to appear in bands, ribbons. And this, for example, is a band or a filament of graphene oxide, reduced graphene oxide. As you can see, it is usually folded. In popular literature, they were colloquially referred to as morgellons. Today we know they are reduced graphene oxide and are blue, reddish, or black. We also know that depending on the color, they have different functionalities, neural functionalities related to the whole synaptic issue. Evidently, this type of monstrosity should not be inside any injectable, and you'll see that in a single 1 square centimeter drop we can find tens of hundreds. We carried out a qualitative study to see whether or not there were any, which would be more than enough to bring all this down. The quantitative study to determine the quantity has not been carried out, but accurate estimates can be done. Well, this is the pattern of how graphene oxide shows up, but it also occurs in a nanotube format. Carbon nanotubes, which is this right here. Likewise, this is graphene, but geometrically rolled up in the shape of a tube. Since it's a superconductor, it has the ability to have electrodes, or to be used with an electrode and link one neuron to another. Carbon nanotubes have applications in neural networks. This is very important because the target of everything we are going to see is the head. The head, somehow they are after our brain.
And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with murrey clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay.